Thank you, Marianne. I just want to thank Peg and Tony and the board for asking me to come and say a few words about Bob. And there's a table of people over there, table number 24, who are compiled of Bob's closest friends and his wife, lovely wife Janice, who could probably do such a better job up here speaking about Bob because they loved him deeply and it was definitely a center of his life. But I promise I will try to do him well in your stead. And it's an honor to be asked to say a few words, but for those who know Bob, a few words is kind of difficult because he was such a wonderful person, larger than life. He was a big man in many ways. When he was in the room, you knew Bob was there. Bob made his way onto my radar about 10 years ago when I was first assigned as pastor to St. Joseph Church in Brookfield. In deference to Father Scott, that's St. Joseph the Lesser, I think is what they would call it. I just come in from shopping for refreshments for the parish center, for the office. And as I was unpacking my bags, one of the staff members said to me, "Father Chip, Diet Coke?" And I said, "Yeah, I kind of like Diet Coke." And they said, "Well, but Bob Leggett." And I said respectfully, I said, "But who is Bob Leggett?" And they said, "He's a parishioner who's very high up on the food chain at Pepsi. And rumor has it that he's one of the few people in the world that knows the secret." And I said, "Knows the secret?" And they said, "Yeah, he's one of the few people who has committed to memory the recipe for making Pepsi." So I said, "Well, I guess he is kind of high up on the food chain there, isn't he?" So that was my first introduction to Bob. And then I got to know him over the years. And it wasn't long before I saw that he was so much more than just the secret recipe to Pepsi. He knew a much more valuable secret. He knew that he had been blessed by God in his life, and it was his charge to take those blessings and to share them with others. At his funeral mass, I asked the attendees if they had the economy of one word to describe who Bob was, and that word would last to all eternity. I got words like all the superlatives of goodness and kindness and generosity and love, and all the words that really reflect what Catholic Charities is really about. And I thank Monsignor Weiss for talking about Mother Teresa as the global ambassador of a sense to Catholic Charities. Well, I think that Bob Leggett, quietly in his own way, was a very local ambassador to Catholic Charities, and not by anything you ever would have known about. Most of these things were done in secret and only known by the recipients of his kindness and his love. I think of all the things that we can take away from Bob's presence in this life, his short 77 years, is to be able to reflect on the way he lived that faith, recognizing that he spent most of his time making deposits not so much in his IRA, but in his ERA, his eternal retirement account. And I'm sure that he's enjoying that quite nicely now. So on behalf of Catholic Charities in Northern Fairfield County, we ask that Bob rest in peace and that we follow his example in our own lives. May God bless him and bless you all in your work. Thank you.